This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, the United States became one of only 4 countries that have rolled back abortion rights since the mid-90s, joining Poland and 2 Latin American countries, El Salvador and Nicaragua. But elsewhere in Latin America, there's been momentum building in the opposite direction.
Afirmativos, 117 negativos.
Cheering and applause as Argentina's lower house passes a government-backed bill legalizing abortion.
Hundreds of women celebrated outside Colombia's constitutional court at the news that having an abortion will no longer be a crime. Many supporters wore green to represent the abortion rights movement that had campaigned tirelessly to remove abortion in the first 24 weeks of pregnancy from Colombia's penal code.
A widespread grassroots movement known as the Green Wave has been gaining ground for reproductive rights in the region, winning major legal victories in the last couple of years. In December of 2020, lawmakers in Argentina passed a law allowing abortion within the first 14 weeks of pregnancy. Less than a year later, in September of 2021, Mexico's Supreme Court decriminalized abortion through a unanimous decision. Then, in February of this year, Colombia's highest court legalized abortion during the first 24 weeks of pregnancy. And coming up in September, voters in Chile will decide whether to ratify a new constitution that would protect the right to abortion. And these changes are a huge deal for countries that are predominantly Catholic and historically very conservative with abortion rights.
It's not right to end a human life, however small, to solve a problem. It's like hiring a contract killer to solve a problem.
Argentina is the birthplace of Pope Francis, who made last-minute appeals against both an unsuccessful bill in 2018 and the bill that was passed in 2020. Meanwhile, Chile, another historically very Catholic country, had a total abortion ban until as late as 2017. So what exactly is this movement, and how did it achieve such huge victories against the odds? The Green Wave began in Argentina. Organizers took inspiration from the Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, a group of women who protested against the ruling military junta in the late 70s. The women, protesting the thousands of civilian killings ordered by the military, famously wore white scarves on their heads. Fast forward a couple of decades, when 2 women decided to pay homage to the protesters without reusing the color white. The original organizers brainstormed together and settled on the color green to symbolize life and growth. The green bandanas made their debut in 2018 to support a bill to decriminalize abortion. Though the law didn't pass then, the image of the waves of green stuck and the movement began in earnest. Now, it's worth noting, the region is still one of the most restrictive in the world when it comes to reproductive health laws. As of 2021, abortion is entirely banned in Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Haiti, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and Suriname. But the recent wave of victories seems to be changing public opinion. For example, one poll in Mexico showed support for abortion access jumped dramatically from 29 to 48%. That poll was taken just as Argentina was passing its laws, and Mexico would follow 9 months later. And this shift correlates with another important shift in the region. Some surveys indicate a decline in Catholicism among most Latin American countries. Argentina had one of the biggest drops in this regional survey, from 76% to 49% reporting they identified as Catholic. Which begs the question, what effect might we see from this in the US? The green symbolism has already made its way stateside, and some elected officials, like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, wore a green bandana on the steps of the Supreme Court after the ruling. But how might the US translate this symbolism into real legislative action, as we've seen in Colombia, Mexico, and Argentina? To answer that question a bit more, we wanted to spotlight some of the organizers that helped lead this legal fight already in Latin America. Joining us today is Catalina Martinez Corral, the regional director for the Center for Reproductive Rights, one of the groups that brought the lawsuit to Colombia's court. Catalina, thank you so much for joining us here. To start, can you give us some context on these 3 landmark decisions we've seen in Argentina, Colombia, and Mexico? How many years has this been in the making, and is this a part of a longer trend or just a recent shift?
Well, no, thank you for inviting me to have this important conversation. This is the result of a feminist movement that have been fighting for this for many, many, many years in the country, and that have worked with a lot of strength to socially decriminalize abortion, no? Like to have this conversation publicly. And I think that, for example, in Colombia, the last 2 years, while we were litigating this case before the court, we had also a very important public conversation on this matter so that we can do pedagogy on this, why this is important, why this is a matter of human rights, and I think that that was also part of the achievement that we have.
I think a lot of viewers, especially people, watching this from within the United States, are going to be looking at this conversation and trying to figure out how what we've seen in Latin America compares and contrasts to what we're seeing in the U.S. right now. How does the abortion rights movement in Latin America look different than in the U.S.?
Well, I think that in Latin America, we have been fighting with the most restrictive abortion laws for many, many years. So we have had to do a lot of strategies in order to achieve liberalizations. No, we have been working, for example, in countries where there are total prohibition of abortion, such as El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, and many countries in the region where access to abortion was very restrictive. What makes us stronger in Latin America is the possibility to work together to create alliances between feminists and organizations outside the feminism, organizations that works on human rights, on development, on public health. So I think that is the result of a very creative fight that has taken us many, many years.
You mentioned the creativity, the movement building. What kind of lessons do you think abortion rights activists, not just in the U.S., but globally, can or will take away from victories like the ones we've seen in Mexico, Colombia, and Argentina?
I think that the importance to work in alliances, the importance to bring new allies to the conversation, like to really be able to have these conversations outside the bubble of the movement, like we really need to have allies in other spheres of the countries, for example, political leaders, influencers, people that have a lot of visibility. And I think that is what in Latin America we have been doing for many years, and these are very important lessons that we can bring to the world.
Catalina Martinez Corral is the regional director for the Center for Reproductive Rights. Catalina, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.